Hi. Here's what I did week 5 on the farm. Well, I guess first things first, I decided to move on my furniture yesterday. So, new spot. A main goal for this week was continuing the occultation process. Last week, I ended off with mowing the field I was going to be laying the tarp in. And I only mowed 2 tarps worth, and then I saved mowing the third tarp worth for Monday. Once I got out there, realized I wasn't satisfied with some of the tufts that were sticking out of the first patch, so I remowed it. And then I laid out all my sandbags using my nifty little garden cart, which is what I spent Sunday building. Um, they had these little nuts that had this little blue cap on the inside. And I thought, oh, that must be to keep it from unscrewing or screwing in too far. The instructions didn't mention anything about a tool, so I just did it by hand, which I realized was a mistake on my part. So, about halfway through the second load of sandbags, I had a cataclysmic cart collapse and everything kind of just tumbled to the side. And then I realized that 3 of the nuts and washers had just come off at some point in the field, and I was only able to find 2 of them. And then I saw that like the back wheels were completely off of the garden cart, which was not ideal. That's when I learned that the little blue things make the nut a nylon nut, and you're supposed to use a tool to like really screw it in there because it's supposed to like screw into the plastic, and that's what makes them extra secure. So I had to go to Ace and buy new nuts and new washers to replace the ones that I was not able to relocate. And then I had to get a 1/2 inch ratchet wrench. So then I had to remake the garden cart basically. At least all the pieces were laid out. So it was just like rescrewing everything in. But that certainly wasn't something I enjoyed having to do. But then I finally got that fixed up, and then I continued on with laying out the sandbags. Doing these makes me realize like how much I get done in a week, because in my head I was like, oh, I did all that plastic and stuff last week actually. But no, I did that on okay, well, yeah. So I started laying out all the sandbags with the wheelbarrow. I rolled out plastic before finishing laying out the sandbags because I was able to finish the 2 tarp area first. So I rolled all that out, flipped it over to make sure that the black side was facing upwards because that way it'll heat up a little bit faster. And then another exciting thing I did this week was bought my website. So I'm hoping to be able to go live with it at the end of the month and then be able to update my business cards with the website. And then I can kind of start seeking out CSA members. I'm pretty excited about that. And then I reset up the cat area back in a raccoon free spot. Hopefully, it'll remain that way. It took a little longer than I expected, but it happened. They finally got used to the change in location again, and I'm sorry for them for moving it, but I think they forgive me. Okay, so at first, I thought this was like just a universe bonus. An extra tarp showed up, and I was very excited about that. But then I remembered that I had actually ordered 4 instead of 3 because I was comparing prices between 2 websites. And I realized that with the shipping, I could get 4 for the price of 3 from the cheaper one. So I did that. And I guess the fourth one just didn't show up day of. So I guess thank God for them. I need to be a little bit more mindful about that stuff. So yeah, now I have a fourth tarp to prepare for, which is going to involve pulling out this Christmas tree stump that I had left and left and left and left. And I knew I'd have to deal with it at some point, and I guess that point is now. So next week is going to be pulling out that tree stump and remowing and filling more sandbags and laying out more plastic. I'm going to continue working on my crop plan. And then I got a link for a crop planning class through my business planning class. So that's really what I did this week and what I have planned for next week. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Happy February. I'm going to go watch Bad Bunny. See you next week.